Today on the Don't Ever Ask Us to Paint Anything Again factory, Woody and Lee are going to scratch up this freshly painted engine bay, then we're going to fit that engine for the last time.
Lee's already scratched the engine bay.
I know.
I haven't scratched it yet.
You will though. We had a big painting session yesterday and a bit of reassembly going on. We got pretty much everything laid out. Everything's black because we asked Lee what colour he wanted stuff and he didn't know, so we used black because you don't have to prime it because it's industrial. It's got its own self-priming sort of thing going on. So that's all looking pretty good.
Purple was on the cards.
Yeah, well we got some purple, but it's, yeah, it was more work. And I suspect Lee might be colourblind and wouldn't have noticed anyway, judging by the colour of the shorts that he wears. So black it is. It's murdered out, as the kids,
it looks good,
kids would have said 5 or so years ago.
It's going to look good. Steering rack, plenum.
Rack's assembled. It's got Volvo rack ends on it. They fit perfectly, so I suspect that the reconditioned versions of these racks may have used Volvo parts in them back in the day.
A few people said that. Darcy said that too.
So that's all good to go. Plenum.
Black.
Woody dinged it, so we fixed it and painted over it. I suspect it was Woody because he normally does break everything.
Always blaming it on me.
Yeah. The valve covers it had 4 outlets on it for various breather things that aren't in the right place for our application. So I've welded all those up. We've sort of smoothed off the ones that you can see. These are on the inside, so I didn't worry about those. And added -10 outlets to the top of the cover. One thing to note when you're doing this is be aware of where you're putting it. You can't just put the breather anywhere. You can see this cavity in here. That's the actual
Where's the baffle plate?
The baffle. That's where the baffle plate goes. So it's got a pretty sort of well thought out series of baffles to stop oil getting. It's only supposed to have vapor in there, not liquid oil. So that's what that's for. These are the baffles. You can see, as most things on these engines, it's pretty well thought out and works pretty well. You just got to be aware of that. If you were to put them up the front, because you thought that looked cool, it would be in a non-baffled area, and that would potentially cause liquid to enter into the breather system, which makes it both not breathe and also fill everything up with oil. The other thing you've got to think about, even a lot of engines don't have that sort of baffling system in them. These are a well thought out engine, so they pretty much nailed everything straight up. If you were to put the breather above a cam lobe, for instance, this is all bathed in oil. It's pretty much swimming in it. So there's a lot of oil getting flicked around. That's how the lubrication system works. That oil would just go straight up into your breather and fill up your catch can with oil, make your breather irrelevant. Old engines like old V8s, they normally just have a big open cover with nothing in them. A lot of older stuff, particularly 308s and 304s, most of the oil ends up in the valve cover and not in the sump because they're poor design. So you have to be very careful about where you put a breather on those. It's best to put them at the front if you're going to, because under acceleration, assuming it's got more than 200 horsepower, then it does accelerate. All that oil that's flooding around inside the cover is going to go to the rear and exit. Conversely, if it's a circuit car, that could happen at the front as well. So you have to actually add a baffle system to them before you put the breather in. Just stuff to think about when you're building cars.
So what's happening today then, Alan? Where are we up to? What's going on?
So once Lee's finished scratching the engine bay, we will assemble the cross member. We have to put the top control arms on the cross member before it goes in the car because they're sort of trapped in behind where it bolts to the chassis rail. The rest of it doesn't really matter at the moment, but we may as well put all the bushes in anyway. We're going to leave all the manifold and everything off until the engine's in.
You're going to put those on first though too, yeah?
These can go on, but only after it's on the cross member, because otherwise we'll have chains and stuff hanging over the top of it. Yeah, then just bolt it all together and poke it up into the car and bolt it all back on as it was when we pulled it apart last time, hopefully.
So what's the percentage of Instagram finished now once it's back in the car?
It was Instagram finished like a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's my understanding of how Instagram works anyway. So much paint on it, you've changed the tolerances. But it's not going to rust.
Installing the engine from below is a much easier way than above, especially so the engine bay doesn't get dinged upon installation. The upper control arms are also fitted before the crossmember is tightened, as they are bolted on from the inside. Engine box, cross member, top control arms in. We've tightened up most of that stuff. Just got to do up the engine mounts. There's two different through bolts there. We just left them undone because it does have the ability to rock around a bit, so we wanted to get it in the car all bolted up, settled, and then just check the level of the engine against the level of the car, which we also checked against the level of the ground, and then compared it to the curvature of the earth just to make sure that everything was level. So that's good to go. We can rattle those up now. Then we can pretty much start stacking stuff back onto the engine for good, which will be pretty fun. Lee's knocked off already. He's on the lemon squash. He's been on his knees all day, so it's been a lot of work.
$20 is $20?
That's what they say. Use our dogs.
Hi Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Good mate.
It's good.
We're just applying the man spring to Lee's
EX44 wastegate, so it'll be 20 something pound base pressure as required. Older springs,
All the springs, all the boost.
go fast bit. Bit of progress today, got everything in there, all still fits, didn't scratch too much paint. Probably the best thing about it is I got to stand on this side of the car and talk for a change. It's a bit of a treat for me. I'm a simple man.
What about that hose clamp there, Alan? You gonna fix that up?
I put that hose clamp on there to enrage the internet.
Todd Tucker will like that.
Really? Who's Todd Tucker?
Todd.
Todd.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is. Massive thanks to Lee for being such a great help today. And for his teal coloured pants. Always a treat.
Mark came and helped too for a little while today.
Mark came and, yeah, I guess he was helping. And Matt came to help as well.
Hey Matt.
Hey guys, how are you?
And that's Nick is out mowing the lawn.
And Nick is mowing my lawn because he's a champion. He's my best friend. We'll be back tomorrow and do more. Globbies.
Who?
Globbies.
Globby.
Knickers.
Yo!
Nice boots.
Cheeks ticket.
What do you call those things? I call them boyangs.
I don't know.
Gumboot.
No, these things.
Oh, the
Gumboot. Go fast, bit. They're called boyangs.
cuffs.
Yeah, that sounds like a crap name compared to boyangs.
Where the hell did boyangs come
I
from?
don't know, that's what my dad used to call them. He probably still does. We've been ploughing into the engine bay reassembly. It's a process. We've kind of got to fit everything up and make sure that it still fits properly. And we're adding other things that haven't been fitted before, like the fuel rail and the coils and stuff like that. The rail and coils, all that stuff Lee got from Golby's about a year ago. So we fitted that up. R35 coils, I think they're 1000cc injectors.
I think Golby's like flow match things, aren't they though, yeah?
You can get flow match ones, but yeah, it's optional. You got to pay more.
Okay.
So these things are pretty cool because they come with, well, you got the option of buying a pre-wired loom for both the injector and ignition. The majority of your time wiring is doing this, so this saves you a lot of time. You've only got to wire these douche plugs at the end of it. So you got to pay for that, but that's saving you a ton of time or a ton of someone else's time at the end of the day. So they're a good thing as well. Brake booster, we spent ages finishing that off, like to a point where it actually works now.
Maybe you should go put your foot on the pedal so that I can film the action. Every action has a reaction, Alan.
You 1 million hours work just to make that thing push that other thing. So
And it's still not finished
there's
yet.
a fair few custom-made bits in there. As you can see, bits of bolt made into pins and all sorts of stuff. Of course, it's got to be plumbed now as far as your hydraulic lines, steel lines. So that's another job to come up. The original back brake line is on that side of the car, but I don't see any reason for it to be there, so we're going to move it across to here. It's all rotten old stuff anyway, so may as well replace it. We've obviously heat-proofed this dump pipe and the wastegate pipe, and used the Golby's pyjamas for the exhaust housing, etc. Did you just break that?
No, I just dropped on the ground.
We are going to put a shield here as well. It's a good idea, but it will be a requirement for engineering. This stuff works really well. In my experience, ceramic coating will not protect this from that. Yes, it is a good thing, and yes, it stops corrosion, and it does have some heat retention properties, but there's no way in the world it'll stop that from dribbling on the ground. We found that out the hard way when we were in America with Benny the first time. Sustained high loads creates lots of heat, and ceramic coating it will not protect from that. So this sort of stuff is better to use. You can use a combination of stuff, or you can just use that. It's the more stuff you use, the better protected it's going to be. But a physical barrier is a very effective way of stopping heat from passing through. So it's very commonly used on like OE cars because it works. So what are we doing now? We've been debating. This is kicking our ass a bit, as you probably can tell by the tones in our voices. It's been a very difficult job.
You're very monotone, so I think I'm probably the only
Well,
one.
you can tell by my
Enthusiasm. There's no mojo, Alan.
my body language suggests that it's been kicking our ass. It's a lot harder job than I anticipated for sure.
You've also got another project. Well, there's other projects.
We're doing
going
other
on.
things at the same time, so I'm sort of splitting myself up in between the two, and Woody's obviously editing. We're doing this week to week, so this is the week before you're watching it, which puts a lot of pressure on us, but I don't want to be whinging about being that YouTuber guy that has to work hard, so
That's you.
forget that. Next, we're going to reassemble the entire front end, mainly.
Alternator. You didn't say.
Oh, we've got a new alternator from Golby as well. I think it's an upgraded one.
Can you get your arm on that bracket?
So,
No, your arm's in the way.
oh god.
There
So
you go.
we're changing it to a slide tension. I've done this a fair few times over the years. Reason for that is the original tensioner assembly setup. It won't work because there's no belt path anymore. It's basically just going from the crank to the water pump to the
We
alternator.
don't have power steer and.
There's no power
aircon.
steering, no aircon, so the belt path, it won't work with the tensioner assembly. So we've also removed that tensioner assembly, which is bolted to the cylinder head or block in here, which leaves a great big hole, and that's the perfect spot for Woody to drop a bolt into the timing belt, which you can almost guarantee. Actually, you might drop an entire wiring harness for a coil assembly in there, and anything that falls inside that belt will ruin everyone's day. So Woody made this fancy sort of block-off plate thingy, which looks the
I
goods.
don't know if it's fancy.
It's fancier than nothing.
It completes the task.
Yeah. So, yeah, that alternator will go on, and then we'll just use the old traditional slide tension sort of method to tension the belt, and that will work fine. There's two different types of alternator you can get from amperage-wise. I
I think we ended up just going for the bigger one because it's physically slightly bigger.
Golby does overrun pulleys too. Overrun pulleys? Underdrive?
Underdrive.
What did I say?
Overrun pulleys.
Derp.
That's those stupid pulleys that all modern cars have got on
Yeah.
that fail.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably off an IS300 or something, like a late model car because it's bigger. These...
Caution. Oh, because you've got a pulley on there?
It's a big unit.
He does have a pulley on there.
I bet it doesn't fit. We'll have to get a different... Whoa.
Sweet.
It's got a... It must be...
We do have a bracket on there? Oh no.
That must be to make it fit. So, 1UZ, 1JZ, 2JZ old alternators are junk. They just fail flat out.
7M, 3JZGTE.
Anything of that age, they just stop working, and the warning light doesn't warn you of anything. The warning is your car stops because it's got 7 volts. So we've learnt, Woody's learnt. I've done so many swaps where you do all this work and then you get like one day into it and the car stops on the side of the road. Unless you've got a voltmeter on it, you don't know. So we just replace them now.
Or at that event that you build the car for and you finish it the night before and then...
And then you get there and it won't go because this is buggered. So highly recommended to just replace the alternator and save yourself the grief. So we'll whack that on. Hopefully it fits. If not, there's a smaller version that we can go with. And let's bolt some suspension in. I was expecting something like a fortune cookie, but it just says don't forget to grease it.
Why didn't Lee get the stub axles powder coated?
Probably because he's an electrician and he doesn't know what that is.
Maybe it's because he's an electrician and he doesn't like cleaning up after himself.
I heard that was the thing with electricians. We've had a pretty big week. We haven't really filmed a lot of what's actually gone on. There's been a lot of work putting the car back together to the stage it is now. It's pretty much repeating what we've already done, but with paint on it, so we didn't bother filming too much of it. But the whole front of it's sort of together,
Sort of.
mechanically.
It's finished now,
Yeah.
apart from brake lines.
It's been a bit of a bitch, and it took my finger out again before, so I was throwing spanners and swearing, and Woody was hiding in the corner.
I actually filmed that by accident. Can I put that in?
No. I'm sure you'll do what you want, but... yeah, it's coming along all right. the new alternator fits. It actually fits. We were able to get rid of his Golby's adapter bracket and just use our thing, so it fits better than the factory one. It is an adapted aftermarket 150 amp alternator of some description, so they have some little adapter brackets on it to make it fit a JZ. So that should work well. We're going to get into radiator hoses. I think I'll try a Cressida one on the bottom and the old faithful, I don't know what it is, a VR Commodore without ABS top hose that fits every JZ. It's got no heater, so we don't have to worry about that. We've got to pull that diff out next. We've refitted the front stubs. They've got hopper stoppers on them from 12, 13 years ago. I think Lee fitted them not long before he took the car off the road. So they're all pretty fresh. So we're going to match them up with some rear hopper stoppers that Duncan from Hopper Stoppers told me I think they use like a Commodore rear brake setup on them.
Isn't that PBR a Commodore caliper?
Yeah. Well, it matches these, but they've got two different. They use either Commodore or Falcon depending on what the arrangement is. So we've just got to pull that diff apart and have a look. It looks like it's got stock axles in it to me, which is a pretty common thing for old 9-inches. They used to, here you go, here's your 9-inch, and then put axles out of it, a bloody Salisbury diff in it, which are junk. So you fix one bit but left the next junk bit to break. So we'll have to check that out. We'll probably put some fresh axles in it because they will probably just break, and we'll change it to Commodore pattern as well, because the front is Commodore but the rear is still Kingswood as far as I'm aware. So one's metric, one's imperial, and they're about a millimetre different. So
It didn't matter for Dave though.
there's probably thousands of cars running around with the exact same setup with the studs just pulled sideways a millimetre. But if we've got the opportunity now to change it, we will, and make it the correct fitment. Lee's decided he wants to put like Pasuti Commodore wheels on it. If you're Australian, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not from Australia, you probably think I sound like some stupid Australian talking shit about something. Pursuit rims are just basic silver rims with steel rims with holes in them that they put on Pursuit police cars.
I'm just laughing at this stupid Australian talking shit because that's what you are.
Yeah. I'm making a career out of it. So we've got plenty to do still, but that's enough for this week.
Alan needs to
We've had enough.
regenerate his mojo and come back next week. Go for a dirt bike ride.
I do need to do that. I was only thinking that before.
That's your fix.
Although I did go on Monday.
Maybe we should go this afternoon.
You never go riding.
Because I'm broken.
You know that?
Oh, that's nasty.
That was already a flip-top knuckle last week after I ruined it on something. And now it's just redone it. So I'm not a happy camper.
Any merchandise you want to tell people about?
T-shirts.
Hoodies have been posted out.
They have.
All but someone in...
Uzbekistan.
Is that what it was?
No.
No, where was it that postage wasn't
Maybe
going?
South Africa.
I can't remember.
It's all locked down. Anywho. Sorry for the lack of mojo, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
How you looking, Steve-O? You good?
Me?
Alright. Fire away, Mick.
You're the one with the camera.
You good?
I'm good. I'm standing here waiting for you.
I'm saying you're good. Go.
Today
Just hang on a second.
Oh, you
Do you want a hug, bro? Oh, jeez.
It's footy season. Actually, it's not footy season. It's the end of footy season. I think I probably shouldn't have done that. Might have to return it. Lucky Granger's my, I was going to say bitch, but probably homie is probably the better word for it.
Do you still want that hug, or did that just leave out some steam?
Yeah, no, I don't want to hug. I want you to stop breaking things.